Hello, 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 and welcome again to the Life Strategy Show. I am your show host, Maxine Pearl Phillips McKoy. I'm coming to you today because I have always say some great information I like to share, and it's all about starting life strategies. I'm blessed. I'm honored. I'm highly favored. I am so thankful that I have been allowed to have this platform to bring individuals on, professionals, my students. I bring individuals who are being challenged with life situations. The whole purpose of Level Less, when you start looking at levellessco.com, which is the website, Level Less is about removing all levels. It is a mindset, is a shift in the mindset. And I call it a movement because when individuals understand that they do not have to aspire to a certain level, but instead, if they would define what success is for them, if they would design a strategy around what they have defined that success as being, and then they start delivering and executing on those plans or taking action, then they are continuously succeeding. But guess what? They are succeeding on their own terms. And that's the beautiful thing about being levelless. You don't have to do it according to someone else. You do what matches you. As they say, you do you. And that's what's important. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight is back to school. Back to school. So, parents, get your paper, your pencil, your pen, get everything ready. And even listen, if you have high school students, middle school students, have them in the room with you. Go on and tag someone. Let them know. Come on and listen to Maxine, the levelless woman, the architect, the career and performance empowerment coach that's going to be talking about back to school tips and techniques that we can assist and help our young people with. And not only the young people, but let's face it, we have collegiate, we have the college age kids who are going back to college. These tips will apply to anyone at any time and in any phase in life when you are seeking to complete not only a degree, but a trade, a certification. It all depends on what you are doing. So sit back and let me know where you are dialing in from, listening in from, chiming in from, so that and just leave a comment to let me know that you're here. Say Raleigh, Durham, Chicago, wherever you're, calling in from or viewing this episode, let me know. Not only that, once it airs, hey, you can always come back to revisit it and you can always share and let other people know. By the way, why don't you go on and share right now and let individuals know that we are live? And Maxine, the levelist, the architect, the career and performance coach, is talking about back to school tips and techniques. Let's get started. One of the things that I want to mention to you is I have my little notes here. I want to mention that it's important that we have a schedule. That's right, a schedule. So, what I want you to do is create a schedule for yourself. Now, many times we say to do a to do list, but I'm going beyond the to do list. I want you to literally create a schedule, and that schedule can be a week long schedule, or it can even be 1 month long schedule because you have technology right in the palm of your hands. That's right. So let's use it. As a matter of fact, what I like to see you do right now, I like to see you take that smartphone out and have it with you. I like to see you go to the calendar on the smartphone. And I like to see you put in the day of the week in which you're going to actually start back to school. I know some kids started back this week. So if you did, put that date that this is the day you're going to start back. All right. So say, for instance, you're going to start back on the 18th or the 28th. Well, On that day, this is your start date, but I want you to consider, what are you going to do a week before you actually start school? You can start creating your calendar. You can start creating your schedule. You can start looking at what clothes that you're going to want to wear that particular week or weeks, or and get things ready. Organize them in the closet by color codes. Buy your slacks or your jeans, buy your shirts, buy your sweaters. What is it, the things that you are fond of wearing when you go to school? Oh, yes, I do understand that there are uniforms. And even if you're wearing a uniform, you still have to go in and prepare your uniform. You have to press your shirt, your slacks, your shorts, get your shoes, your socks, and all of those items ready. So why not do it one week, at least a week in advance? At least a week in advance. And if you do that, guess what? You're not having to worry about doing it every night. And if you get into that routine and doing it a week at a time, even 2 weeks if you possibly can, but I say at least one week. But when you do it one week and a situation happens or a crisis happen, an emergency happen, or you get off schedule, you already have it planned. You already have your clothes planned on what you're going to wear. You have them already assorted. You have them already organized. You know where they are. And let's face it, okay, Miss Maxine, you sitting up here telling me to get my clothes ready one week in advance. And I'm used to getting up the morning before, trying on 10 different outfits before I finally land on the one I'm going to wear to school. Well, why not go in and try on these 10 or 15 different outfits a week before so that you can have it already organized? Okay, I know. Okay, so the morning of, you still might get up and might not decide to wear that particular outfit, but guess what? You already have another outfit already organized and ready to go. So you still can choose which outfit you're going to wear what day of the week. And this is not just for ladies, this is for gentlemen as well. So you can lay your trousers out and your shorts out and your shirts out. And not only that, you're into sports. You have extracurricular activities. So you need to get that ready as well. Your gym bag, or your backpack. So whatever you're going to use to carry these items in, you can start getting that organized. And say, for instance, your drawers will not handle it all. Well, there's nothing wrong with having some little trays or some boxes, that you can stack up and create your own little format so that you can have your clothes in there. So we don't always have to have all the ample room in our closet, but we can create it, just by using boxes. So that a shoe box will work, a box from the store will work, so you can always cut it down, cut it open, and use it, repurpose it. And you can be creative. You can even decorate the box. You can cover it with contact paper or with a regular wrapping paper, however you want to do it, and get creative and fancy with it. But this will help you to become organized. And that's just in the clothing. Now, the other thing about a schedule, you're going to be receiving your syllabus. You're going to be receiving your classes, on which class you're going to take, what period you're going to take the classes, and so forth. Well, when you get that, you want to start logging that into your smartphone, into a planner. If you have a paper planner, you're the kind of person who wants a paper planner, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to use the digital planner, which is on your telephone, then you have that option as well. And you have a calendar on the computer. So look at your options here. So it depends on the person, it depends on who you are, and it depends on what it is that you want to use. But what I would say is use it. Please use it. This is where you become organized. This is where it helps you with your time management skills. This is where you'll be able to put on that calendar the items, that the things that they told you about in the syllabus, like when a test is due, when a research paper is due, when you have different activities that's going to be coming about. All of that you input on your calendar. And before you know it, you will see on your calendar if days of the week are full, if you have no spare time. You can also look to see what can you plan ahead of time. If you want to go to the movies, if you want to go skating, if you want to go to a game, what kind of time do you already have on your calendar, provided you don't have any other school activities that causes you to have to research or whatever the case may be, depending on what the syllabus is all about. So that's how you use the calendar. And that digital calendar, listen, you all love to be on that smartphone and texting. And so while you're texting, always go and look at the calendar and put some other things on the calendar. So let's say, for instance, on the calendar, you need to also indicate when a research paper is due. All right, so you put the date the research paper is due, but then you back into it. So about a month before, 2 weeks before, you start talking about when you need to do the research, what the subject is going to be about on the research paper, when you have to have the draft done. Do you have time to have someone to proof the draft before you have to turn in the final paper? All of that can be scheduled on the telephone, on your smartphone, or in a planner, or on the computer, on the calendar. But whichever one you decide to use, I say what? Use it. You must use it in order for it to work for you. So that's one thing about a calendar, is scheduling your classes and when your activities are due. We talked about a way to schedule is also to put your clothes together. Now, there's another thing about scheduling. And you said, Miss Maxine, I think you're going to go a little bit too far with the scheduling thing. But what about your lunch? Why in the world are you talking about eating already and I'm not in school yet? Well, the thing about it is that you have to prepare for it. You must do the grocery shopping. You must make a list of the items that you like, that you enjoy, if you're going to be taking your lunch, if you're going to actually be physically going to a school, if you're going to be, doing school from home, you're still going to have a lunch. So at least you have it prepared, and it doesn't take you all the time to prepare it. You have more time to enjoy it. Okay, so let's just pause for a moment. Let me see if I have any questions from anyone. Not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Ah, I see we have someone calling to have a Chapel Hill person that's on the line. Thank you for chiming in. Let me know you're here. If you have a question, put your questions in the chat and let's go on. Join the conversation. It doesn't have to be a one way. I'm just giving tips and techniques because this is what I know have worked for the clients that I worked for and with. It's also worked for my kids when they were in high school. And yes, I've not been a public school teacher, but I've always been a facilitator. I've always did in-home schooling as well as them going to the public school. But that's just because I love helping people learn. And I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. So I was getting ready to pause and talk about eating. I was going to talk about healthy lifestyles. And when I talk about this healthy lifestyle, this is pertaining to anyone, not only our youth, our adults, but also me. One thing about breakfast is that we know that when we load our stomachs with sugary foods, it causes our glucose level to go up, 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 up. And guess what? It drops just as fast as it goes up because it's all sugar. And when I talk about sugar, I'm talking about sugary cereal or cereal that's not necessarily sugar, but it's a carb, it's a carbohydrate, and carbohydrates will convert into sugar. And therefore, it's in the bloodstream. So, what I encourage and what I've seen happen best is that if you eat a balanced breakfast, a balanced meal, so that the body can get the necessary fuel that it needs in order you to carry through that day up until you get ready to have lunch. And that's just a balanced meal we're talking about. We're talking about, yes, have a carb. So if you want to have some of the cereal, have a small bowl of cereal, but make sure you have a piece of fruit with it and also have some protein with it. And that's more of a balanced meal, and a little dairy with it if you can tolerate dairy. And that will keep the blood sugar levels from spiking very high and then dropping really, really fast. Because when the blood sugar level starts spiking real high, you're hyper, you're super active. You want to get up and do and be busy and do things. You not don't want to just sit there and listen. But when you balance the meal out, it helps the body to stay calm, and you're able to then listen and take in the information and process it, to take notes so that you'll be able to come back later and study according to those notes. Yes, I know many of the kids are not in school yet. However, remember, these tips and techniques can be used no matter what grade level they're in, no matter what school that they're attending, and no matter what age that they are. And even adults can use these tips and techniques. All right, so you got that balanced meal, and you might say, okay, then what could be a part of that balanced meal as well? Well, what about yogurt? If you decide that you want to have some yogurt, well, you get the Greek yogurt that are organic or unsweetened. It is better on your system, and it has the probiotics and prebiotics in it, which is going to be good for the colon. But what about putting some fruit in it? What about putting a banana, half a banana in it? What about some blueberries, some strawberries, some blackberries? And then what about just a smidget of honey? And honey is more natural. It's more of a medicinal property. And that way keep it, you got a carb, you have the dairy, you have, and also you can put nuts in it, depending on if you're not allergic to nuts, whatever nut works for you. But if you notice, it can be very filling as well. And then you could have a piece of toast with it. And so these are just some of the things that you can do for breakfast so that you will have a balanced meal and the blood sugar levels are leveling out opposed to spiking up and dropping really fast. Because when they spike up, you're super hyper, but when they drop, it's like, I'm ready to fall asleep. I don't know if I can listen to this teacher any much longer. You don't want that to happen. You want the child to be, and you want to be at your peak learning capability so that you can take in that information and absorb it. So we talked about scheduling, and now we're talking about how do we prepare ourselves in the morning when we're going off to school or when we're at home and we're positioning ourselves in front of the computer like I am today talking about you about going back to school. So you have to also make sure that the computer is a certain level so that your back is level. You have great eye contact. You're not, putting a lot of strain on the back. I am one of the ones who had back surgery about 30 some years ago. Yes, I literally had open back surgery. And after I had that back surgery, believe it or not, they had to teach me how to do everything over again and do it properly to maintain the back. And they told me if I did not, that I would have to have surgery within the next 10 years. And it's been over 35 years, I think it has been, since I've had back surgery. So I paid attention and I did the things that they wanted me to do. So it's important that you protect the back when you're sitting at home at the computer, when you're studying, when you're doing homework, or even if you're in class and you're looking at the computer online. There are so many great things that you can do. I'm going to give you my email address. It's going to be maxine@levelusco.com. I don't know if the producer would have an opportunity to scroll it across the screen or not, but you can see maxine@levelusco.com because I want you to reach out to me, or you can also reach out in the chat and let me know that you're here and put your email address in there, and I'll send you my checklist. That's right, checklist, so that you have some things you can check off to make sure that you're going to stay organized and have great time management for back to school. How is this helping? Let me know. Say, hey, lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. Say, this is working, Coach Maxine. Great info. Listen, I wish someone had told me about all these tips and techniques when I was in high school, going to school. Many times my parents say that to me. Where were you when I was in high school? And I'm like, I was in high school myself. But look what has happened. I have learned so much, and a natural ability is always being a lifelong learner and a researcher. And I love to research. And the more I research, the more great information I find so I can share it with my viewing audience. And I have clients that come on and they do the same thing. They share their strategies that they have used in life to position them where they are today. And that's another thing that I love about having this platform is because I don't know it all. None of us know it all, but collectively we can share so much more. And then with the gifts and talents that we all have, we can share our gifts and talents in order to encourage others to move forward with what they have already been gifted to do. So let's see. So we talked about scheduling. All right, let me see what else I want to talk about. Let's see. We also have on here supplies. What about school supplies? What are you doing in order to collect those supplies? That's right, collect the supplies. Now, there are many ways that you can collect those supplies. Well, first of all, look for sales, and that need to be done ahead of time. And look to see what sales are going on right now. Also, look to see who in the neighborhood are having these free giveaways because there's so many organizations that are giving away backpacks. Let's face it, we already know there's a shortage and the shortage in teachers, and then the teachers having to purchase their own supplies. That does not always happen. And then we have some groups who are able to donate supplies to the schools and to the teachers. That's a blessing. So if you're able to do that for your child's teacher, please do so. I encourage that to the utmost. And teachers, if you're one of the ones that you know that you're going to need some supplies, go on. DM me, go on and let me know so that as people come, reaching out to me, let me know that they have supplies they want to donate. Then I can give them, suggest to them some teachers or some schools in which they can donate those supplies to. We're in it together. My vision is to reach 5 million teenagers. 5 million teenagers. I'm not trying to do it by myself. I need your help. I need your help to help me reach these teenagers because the teenagers that I want to reach, I will because they're unsure of what career path they're to take. They're unsure of what profession they need to go into. They're undecided or they just stuck and do not know how to move forward. We have an assessment here that we do that helps them to identify what career path that's going to match their already God given innate natural abilities. That's right. And then we help them to put a strategy in place so they can start executing that strategy. Oh, I tell you what, I get so excited when I am able to talk about this type of information to the parents and to the students. So let's see what else. So we got that. And then the next thing we want to talk about is going to be the we talked about healthy breakfasts, put in the clothes, healthy lunch. Oh, let's talk about the healthy lunch. Okay. So you got a breakfast in place, and we talked about some of the things that you can add to the breakfast. But what about a lunch? Now, lunch means you're going to put it in your backpack, or if you're not purchasing the lunch at school. But if you are purchasing the lunch at school, so let's talk about lunch selections. So look for still purchasing a balanced meal when you're going to purchase the lunch. Look for a carb, look for a protein, look for vegetables, look for the dairy. And let's face it, you're going to want a little snack. So you're going to have a little snack. And so if that be the case, but still have a balanced meal. I'm not talking about all carbs and then you have a soda to wash it down. You want to make sure that you get that protein in there. You get some carbohydrates such as bread. You get some starchy vegetables. You got broccoli. There's sometimes they have a salad. You don't want to load it with all the salad dressing on it because then it takes away all of the vitamins that you're putting into it with the lettuce. And let's hope that you can get some romaine lettuce or some green leafy lettuce. So that would be a little bit more healthier for you. Okay, the other thing is that when you're talking about a lunch, we normally know that you have a lunch schedule already assigned to you at school. So you already know what time you're going to have lunch. You know how much time you're going to have for lunch. So when you create that lunch at home, if you're bringing the lunch with you, then still look and ensure that you have a balanced meal. Now, I talked about a schedule. So let's talk about having a lunch, preparing a lunch ahead of time. And you can do this a week at a time. You can prepare the non perishable things that you're going to take in lunch at least a week ahead of time. And many times you can put them in a little bag and you can put them on your counter. You can mark it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And you can put the items in there that's non perishable. And then the day that you're going to take the lunch, you put the perishable items in there. Or you can put the perishable items in there the night before and then put the bag in the refrigerator. Now, don't walk off and leave the bag in the refrigerator or leave the container in the refrigerator. You need to be able to take it with you so you have that well balanced meal at lunch. And that lunch is going to then carry you until you get home for dinner. And also think of this, if you are doing extracurriculum activities, I want you to put an extra snack in that lunch container so that between the time you get off from school and the time that you get home, you might have to have a small snack. That would keep your blood sugar levels, it would keep your energy up, and it would keep you more alert. So that's just something to consider. I'm not talking about a snack where it's all sugar. I'm talking about maybe a piece of fruit and a protein. You know, you have cheese and an apple, or you could have almond butter and an apple. You could have, it would be hard, pretty much hard to do yogurt in the afternoon because you don't want it sitting out and spoiling. You want something that's not going to spoil and it's not going to make you sick. So that would be the lunch. Now let's talk about, now that you're home, what are some of the things that you can do for back to school? Well, first of all, you can designate it a time on when you're going to do your homework. La la, you can't get by not doing homework. So you have to dedicate a time that you're going to do your homework. Now let's face it that if you've already been out there doing sports, you might not want to do homework as soon as you walk through the door. You're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to go shower, you want to relax, you might want to have something to eat, but then you want to have a designated time to go on and do the homework. Not only a designated time, but you also want a designated space. So go on and carve out a space in the home where you're going to do your homework each day or each evening. This is especially if you're already going into the school and you come in home. But if you're working from home or going to school from home, then have a designated space where you are actually in your learning environment and set it up to be a learning environment. Make sure it's colors according to the colors that you love to look at, that's soothing to the eyes. And if you are a rhythm learner, that means you're going to have a little music in the background as you're learning. So there's a lot of different things that can go on in this learning environment. Now we have a whole workshop on study taking. And in that study taking, we go over all of these ways that you can set up that learning environment. There's a workshop also on note taking, because when a teacher is delivering the information to you, it depends on how you record it in order to be able to go back and study it for a test. So we have a workshop on note taking skills as well. So these are just some of the workshops that we offer. And then we also have, when we talk about you coming home from school, what about if there's something that you're challenged with as far as a subject is concerned? What do you do about that? Who do you call? I know that was the who do you call, and then there was that music called Ghostbusters. But who do you call? You could call your career coach, you could call your parents, you could call another friend, you could call someone that's serving as a mentor for you. You could call someone, perhaps maybe your parents have already designated them as a tutor. But most importantly, what I want you to understand is that Put together a schedule on who you can call for certain subjects. That's right, for certain subjects. Like English, who can you call? For grammar, you know, or if there is math, who do you call? Or what do you do? Or what options do you have? So don't overlook any of that because you need to have a game plan in place for all of that to work. This is going to make your life so much easier if you put these tools and techniques, these platinum nuggets that I'm dropping this evening, if you will put them into play and start doing them and preparing yourself for back to school. It's going to make life so much easier for you. Not only you, the student, but the parent as well. So the things that I'm talking about, parents, you can write them down as well and help that child implement them and take action. And it's going to make life better for both of you. And I know, what about bedtime? Oh. You are stepping on some toes right now to be talking about bedtime. I know you think that you can stay up all night and be okay. And then you get up and go to school because, oh, I'm alert, I'm alert, I'm alert. And don't even realize that you're not alert until you get into the classroom and you find yourself dozing off like this when the teacher's talking. And that's because you have not gotten enough sleep. But when you put a schedule in place, that allows you to put a time on your calendar on when you're going to do homework, when you're going to do a chores, when you're going to eat, when you're going to do certain things, and then what time you're going to schedule yourself to go to bed. Now, I cannot tell you when, but the average time they tell us we need what, between 6 to 7 and 8 hours of sleep. I don't know how many of us actually get the 8 hours of sleep, but you can definitely strive to get that 8 hours of sleep by putting things on your calendar. And what time do you have to get up in order to get dressed? So you have to back into all of that. So if you have to leave to catch the bus at 7 o'clock and it takes you an hour to get ready, that means that you have to be up at least between 5:30 and 6 o'clock. Because if you put, remember, the lunch where it needs to be, the books where they need to be, the backpack is already packed and is ready to go, and is sitting by the door where you're going to leave, then you have half the battle won. But if you don't do any of that the night before, then that means you have all that to do the next day, which means it can run into that 1 hour, and next thing you know, you're running late. The last thing you want to do is be late for school. And it seems like it just disturbs your entire day when you're late for school. So this is a way that Miss Maxine, Coach Maxine, the levelist woman, the architect who believes in planning, is giving you these platinum nuggets in order to help you to become organized and that you can stay organized. And you can use these techniques from the rest moving forward. It does not end. It's going to work no matter what grade you are, what age you are, and whatever project you're working on. If you put some of these tips and techniques in place, it's organizational skill ready and it's good time management skills. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Have I given you some information that can prepare you for back to school or what? Come on now, let me know, let me know, let me know. Let me see, do we have anybody else? Okay, so we're going to give you my email address is going to be maxine@levelistco.com is where you're going to send it to, maxine@levelistco.com. Let me know if you have teachers, if you have need for books, supplies, and because I'm putting the call out there for individuals that if you have supplies that you want to donate to a particular school, and teachers, you need to let me know what school you're in, what you're at, so that we can make sure that we contact you when we get those supplies in. We have to work it together. This is called collaboration. This is called partnering. Then my whole objective is to make sure that these students are able to learn, and you as a teacher, you're already out there teaching them. This is what you have a love to do, and therefore we want to support you and help you be able to help our children and our students learn. Now, the other thing I want to talk about with back to school is learning. It's actually how do our students learn? We always talk about the adult learning style, but an adult had to be a student first, right? They had to be in primary, they had to be in middle school, they had to be in high school before they became an adult. And so some of those same learning principles applies to even elementary school age children, middle school children, or high school students. It still applies. Learning, to me, I believe that learning does not take place until they're able to apply what they just learned. That's just my belief. That's my belief. And the reason why I believe that is because it has been proven in all the workshops that I've done that when participants are able to apply what they've learned in the workshop, then they more than likely apply it when they're out of the workshop. And the same thing with students. It's important that students apply what they've learned while they're in the classroom so that we know they're able to apply it once they're at home and they're no longer in the classroom. And I think that my belief helps me also stem from the fact that I was one of those students that my mother went to the 11th grade and my father went to the third grade. Now, not that they didn't learn, because they were very talented. I mean, my father was a carpenter, a coal miner, he was an electrician, he was a mechanic. But he learned all of this through it was self-development, through a book that he read. He looked at the pictures and he was able to be self-taught. And my mother went to the 11th grade, so she was great at writing, great at math, and great at custom, I call it customer service, as far as being able to service individuals and helping them. She was a nurturer by heart. And so therefore, the other areas that I might have been deficient in, that meant I need a tutor in order to help me. And so therefore, parents, that's another thing that you have to take into consideration. When you pay attention and you observe your child and their learning style, I ask you to start asking yourself, is my child an oral learner? Do they learn best by hearing the information and they can retain it? Do they learn best by reading the information and looking at it for themselves? Do they learn best by interacting with the information, by being hands on or kinesthetic? Do they learn by visual, seeing the information first, then having someone to show it how to do it, and then allow them to come back and apply it? It's important that we understand how each child takes in new information and process it. It's so critical and it's so essential. And the parents, I say to you right now, I was one of those parents that I did not realize how my own children took in new information and processed it. And when I helped them with homework, guess what? I taught them how I learn. I'm a visual learner and I'm a hands on learner. Well, my daughter loves to read, she's a researcher. My son loves numbers. He makes heads and tails out of numbers that to me, makes no sense. So, see, I didn't realize that myself. But once I started doing all my research and I realized that this is the ministry that God has given to me and entrusted me with, is now to start helping individuals to understand how they learn and process new information. I've done all of this research on it. These 12 years that I've been in business and the 18 years prior to that, when I sit back and I think about, I have been actually coaching over 50 years. I was one of those individuals that all my friends would come to, and we would have these long conversations. And before you know it, I was asking them questions, and they had decided on what solution they wanted to use. And that was before I even knew what coaching was all about. So, see, many times we have a natural ability that we were already given. We have just not discovered it, identified it, or confirmed it. And it's no different with our young people in high school. It's no different with our young people who are in middle school. They need to understand how they take in new information and process it. So, parents, you have a resource sitting right in front of you. That yes, not all parents are able to do this, but you have individuals out here who can help you. And Levelers is one of the companies who does exactly that. I do workshops on learning styles and communication styles for middle school and high school. And then we have an assessment. We have an assessment that's called the ability assessment that helps the individuals to understand their learning styles. What's their primary learning style? So they'll know how to use it. And if something is not their primary learning style, guess what? We help them to understand the techniques that they can start implementing in order to still use a learning style that's not as familiar to them so that they can continue to learn. It never fails. I mean, the student grades improve, their confidence level improved. They start liking school even more. They do projects ahead of time. They start having fun. They start being creative. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Once a child understands how they take in new information and process it. Now, that's from a student perspective, but what about college? What about our students in college? It's the same thing. They could be challenged with certain ways of learning different material. Okay, so they're not a reader, but they like to listen to it. There's tips and techniques that they can do in order for them to still learn that information without it being a struggle, without it being so challenging, without them wanting to give up and say, listen, I don't want to go any further to try to do this degree because it's entirely too hard and it's taking me too long and I'm not understanding it. Or they might not be able to afford a tutor. So there's so many things that we can do to help our students do better in school and continue to move forward because the whole objective is for them to succeed in life, for them to land on that sweet spot, for them to understand the profession that's meant for them so that they can thrive in it and not just survive in it. So, I mean, as you can see, it doesn't take much for me to get too excited about all of this. But these are just some of the things that Julie. Hey, Julie, she's on here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I appreciate you. And Julie is one of my favorite. I mean, she's a supporter. She's followed me and have been for almost probably 12 years. Probably the 12 years that I've been in business, Julie has been a part of our company and utilizing our services and moving forward in life and doing awesome in her profession and in her career. So we'll have to bring Julie on one day and let her give that testimonial, a live testimonial, Julie, so that you can let them see you and what you have done. All right. So the other thing about going back to school, we talked about learning style. And I told you about the different workshops that's going to help you study and help you prepare. What about when you get ready to start looking at essays? I don't know a grade level. Middle school, I think there's one that you might have to do a little small essay and also a research paper. I know in high school you do research papers. I know in college you do research papers. And then as an adult, you do projects. So to me, that is a research paper. But when you're doing that, time management comes in. It plays an important role. All those things that I talked about earlier, as far as preparing yourself the night before, the week before, in order for you to control your time management, organizational skills. See, it flows, it moves with you. It moves with your profession. It moves with the career that you're in. It moves with the job, the role and responsibilities that you have been given. I mean, time management and organizational skills is a part of life. It's a part of life. And it's something that you use all the time. I know negotiation is another skill that you use all the time and sales. Many times you negotiate where you're going to go have lunch. You negotiate where you're going to go to the movies. You negotiate what mall you're going to go shopping. So negotiation is coming in all the time, but you don't even realize that you're negotiating. So you have to understand how to effectively use your negotiation skills. But when it comes to going back to school, decision making and problem solving are very powerful skills to have. And I ask you to ask yourself, What type of a problem solver am I? Am I analytical? Am I all about researching the facts and then it takes me forever to make the decision? Am I the type of person and I'm looking at, I want short term results? Or I'm the type of person I can be long term. It's okay for me to wait 5 years to get this accomplished. But no, I might be the kind of person who wants it done in 6 months. Okay, so you have to be careful about all of this, about who you are from your core. Because the more you know this about yourself, then the more you can embrace it, the more confident you can become. And that confidence carry itself even in school. That's where you can show up. That's where you can speak out. That's where you can raise your hand to answer a question. That's where you can volunteer to be a part of a project or lead a project. That's where you might want to run for an officer, whether it's the president or vice president of student council. It depends on you. That's why I love doing what I do, because it allows me an opportunity to help the person embrace who they are, embrace themselves from their core, embrace those abilities that they were born with, that nobody had to teach it to them. It comes natural to them. They can do it in their sleep. And as I start wrapping this up, I'm going to talk a little bit about, now that you know all of this about yourself, now what? What are you going to do with it? I would say my middle school and my high schoolers, what I want you to do, and even the collegiate ones, what I want you to do is I want you to take the information and I want you to reach deep down within you and ask yourself, what am I passionate about? What am I passionate about? Not what someone else wants you to do. What are you passionate about? I want you to seek that. Adults, I want you to ask yourself, what was I passionate about when I was in middle school? What was I passionate about when I was in high school? Am I in the profession that I said I was going to be in because I had a love for it? I want you to ask yourself these questions. I want you to start reaching deep within yourself into your core. That's where you're going to find that fulfillment. That's where you're going to find out what matters most to you. So, as I talk to my high schoolers, my freshmen, my sophomores, my juniors, you see, my seniors, they're already almost out the door and they can't wait to get out that door. But they don't know what's on the other side unless they've already prepared while they were in that freshman, sophomore, and junior years, that they did the scheduling, that they had great time management, that they did the research, that they know what they're good at, what their strengths are, that they put a strategy in place. So all what they're doing is now executing it throughout the school year. So see, that's where it's important to the high schoolers for you to start doing. That's about back to school. It's putting that strategy in place so that you already know, with the end in mind, that after I graduate, I'm going to be doing this. What is that this? Because that this depends on who you are and where you see yourself going, your aspirations, your vision. So with the end in mind, then we start back at the beginning. So before you graduate from high school, you should have started in middle school, put a schedule in place, understanding what you're already gifted at doing, and have a strategy on what it is that you're going to be doing beyond high school. So see, that's where Levelist comes in at. Not only do we help you in middle school, but we take you through high school, through college, through a trade, through a profession. Are you going to be an entrepreneur? And then on to life. Because even when you start talking about retiring, what are you going to do when you retire? Because you're still passionate about what it was that you were passionate about, and how are you going to use it? So we can take you from infancy all the way through retirement, because we understand that career is a lifetime, but life is a project. And with a project, there's a beginning date and there's an end date. And between that beginning date and end date, there's a dash. We are the dash. We are the dash that help you to understand who you are from your core. We are the dash that help you put a strategy in place. We are the dash that help you to execute that strategy so that you can be successful. We are the dash that empower you along the way, whether it's through encouragement, through workshops, through assessments, or just following up on you to see how you're doing. So see, what level is, you're part of a family that believes in the shift of the mindset, that the sky is not the limit. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself. You have abilities that no one else were given but you. It was given to you for you to do you. But there's nothing wrong with embracing them and being proud of them and making an impact. Impact on this world, impact on your community, impact on your neighbors, impact on your school, impact on your family, and transforming generations as you're leaving your legacy. As you're leaving your legacy. I trust that you have taken great notes, that you have decided to use a schedule, use your calendar, whether it's paper, computer, or telephone, to schedule what you're going to be doing the week prior to school, each week, and also to implement great time management skills and organizational skills so that your school year will be prosperous. It will be successful. It will be what you want it to be. I have truly enjoyed being able to share with you these back to school moments. I am looking forward to you letting me know how this has impacted you. I am looking forward to you sharing with me that you put some of these things in place, and I want to hear about the outcomes. So right now, remember, Maxine at levelisco.com is where you want to send your information. And if you're interested in supplies in order to donate it to a school, I want to make sure that you reach out to us and let us know so that we can make sure that we get you in contact with school, as well as teachers. We already know that many of you are short when it comes to supplies. So you too reach out to us and let us know, what is it that you need? Because if we want to donate supplies, let us donate what you need, opposed to us donating what we think you need. It's nothing like having a great match. With Levelist, we believe in matching, values with principles, with roles, responsibilities, with competencies. And so therefore, we want to make sure that we match the supplies with what your need is in the schoolroom and for the age group. This is Maxine Pearl Phillips, your show host for Levelist Show. Listen, I have truly enjoyed myself. I get so excited when I talk about all of this great information, but it's always about helping individuals or empowering individuals to move forward so they can be successful in life. Remove the levels. Remove the levels. Continue to succeed by defining what success is for you. Design a strategy so that you can reach those goals that you want. Develop yourself continuously and deliver with excellence. Until next time, I believe in you and I trust you'll believe in yourself. Have a great evening.
Taking a chance.